Welcome to Patter with Pauline. Today's guest is Jen Jutto. Jen Jutto is one of the primary school vice principals with overall responsibility for grades 3 and 2. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you so much for having me, Pauline.
So we are going to talk about a really exciting thing today. Our topic is the College Days of Recognition and Celebration. But before that, Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what a typical week looks like at UWC for you.
Sure. So this is my 4th year here at UWC, and prior to coming here, I was working in the Philippines. Before that, I was in Laos, before that, Vietnam, and I started my teaching career long ago in Canada. One of the things that I love about working at UWC is my time with the students. So a typical week for me involves a lot of student time, whether that's through morning meetings, which I run a few times a week, or I do like to spend a lot of time in the playground or in the canteen, chatting with students, seeing what's going on. They'll come up and connect with me.
I have seen you on the slides, and I thought you should really be on there, Miss Jen. But carry on. Sorry.
They do invite me to play, which is good, and the loose parts as well. They can find me there. And then, of course, in the classroom. So just today I was speaking with some students about their learning and what they find challenging, what they find easy, where they're going next with their learning. So that's part of my week. And, of course, there's other things with meetings and planning. But the highlight would be working with the students.
And I know a lot of time is spent with the staff as well, but also with parents. So it's quite a varied week.
Yes.
So today, you're going to be speaking about our College Days of Celebration and Recognition. So tell us a little bit more about those.
So I believe it started my first year when I first arrived, and as the entire college, we were looking across both campuses on what was happening, what days we were recognizing. And at that point, we realized we needed to maybe look a little bit closer in an alignment and to ensure that we were recognizing what was happening. Find out all the different days of recognition and days of celebration, and then thinking about what was going on through the DEIJ lens of kind of culture, belonging, identity, and how do we ensure that we have a balance between what's happening within Singapore and then looking at that wider college piece of all the different nationalities and ensuring that we weren't leaving people out. So it was quite a challenge.
It's quite a diverse community.
Yes, exactly.
To meet the needs of.
Yes. So there was two of us from ELT, so the leadership team here on East Campus, who started to look at this together. And actually in the beginning, it just started with a list. What is happening and what do people want?
Was the list long?
It was very long. Quite a long list. And so if we look at the number of the 5 elements and what each element wants to have recognized and celebrated, so a lot of variation. And of course, thinking about the autonomy of the students, in particular our older students who are really looking at the wider world and thinking, this is a day of celebration across the world. Let's put this into the college and let's put it on the calendar.
All with good intention,
exactly.
However.
And running these clubs and really wanting to have recognition that way. But what happened was when we sat down and looked at this huge list, that I would say, a third of the school calendar would have had a day of recognition or celebration. And whose do we actually look at and work with? So once we had that list and we were working on it, it took a little while. We moved into that second year, I believe, of looking at this. And at that point, we had appointed a new DEIJ lead, and we asked her to come and be a part of this work with us. And so she brought a different perspective that helped us kind of look at, when we're talking about days of recognition and days of celebration, how do we link that to the work we're already doing?
Yeah.
So fostering our student identity, fostering belonging, building those meaningful local connections, and having the perspectives. And when we looked at that, we realized there was a place that we could say, this is what we'll celebrate across both campuses as a college. But that doesn't mean there's still isn't an opportunity for these
Celebrate other.
the other celebrations, in particular in our smaller communities.
Yeah.
So then we said, okay, let's look at the entire college, then let's look at what's going to happen at a school-wide level. So what's going to happen in the primary school? And then our smaller communities, and for us in primary, that's our classroom community, because each classroom community is made up of diverse students with diverse perspectives, and we want to honor those communities within the bigger, wider community.
Definitely. Wow. So it actually was a long period of work for a long period of time.
Yes.
And where did we land then? Or where have we landed?
So what we've landed with is this agreement across both campuses that we celebrate 6 days of 6 days of recognition. And so for us,
in our school year,
in our school year, we agree upon the dates, we calendar them in alongside everything else, so that we all know this is an important day. This is who we are as UWC SEA East Campus. And so the first one is UWC Day, which is fantastic. So every UWC, all 18 are celebrating UWC Day.
Same day.
It's a worldwide day of peace, and we recognize UWC as part of that mission in peace. And so that's an easy one.
Yeah.
That date is kind of set. Then we look at 4 days of celebration, and we look to what's happening in Singapore and really understanding our host culture.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of learning that went along with that.
Yeah, I bet.
And what does that mean? So the first one is Deepavali, and also known as Diwali, and that will come up in October or November. The second one is Christmas. The third one is Hari Raya Puasa, but that depends on the order.
Yeah.
So as we're moving, and the last one is Lunar New Year. So those 4 days come under the Singapore recognize the different makeup of the Singapore nation, and those are public holidays. So we recognize those in alignment
So
with
we're looking
Singapore.
at our host country and aligning to the host country. So that leaves one extra day, and I want to come back to the Lunar New Year one.
Yes.
So the extra day is?
The Grand Walk.
Woo!
And that's a very special, one of those things that are very special to East Campus, when our grade 12 students walk through the entire campus and all the other students cheer for them, their last day of classes. And it's one of those honoring the students last year who had started on this campus. For the first time, we had students who'd been through the entire East Campus, and from now on that's going to happen. But it's honoring for those students, their walk through this, community, whether they joined in grade 11 or K1, they've kind of got through their classes in the next step.
This has been a special place for them.
So it's an important day. So we looked at, this is a day that unites us as a community, and we wanted to make sure that was calendared.
That's really lovely, and it very much is a tradition. The students moving up through the school expect it, look forward to it. It's very emotional day. It ends with the parents on the campus as well. They've been in an assembly, and then it ends with meeting the parents on the campus.
And I think also added to it is our commitment we have to our border buddies.
Yeah.
And when you see our primary students who they have their buddy class, and maybe they knew a few of them through the buddy class, but most of them will have a connection to a border buddy, and there's high emotion with that, and they'll stop in front of their class if they are a grade 12 border buddy, and those kids will all hug them and have signs and cheer, and how wonderful for those students.
Because they're the students who don't have their families here on that day.
Exactly.
We are very fortunate that the community support their families coming for the graduation ceremony, but on that day their parents aren't here, so they have that extra special touch as they go through, I think, through the primary corridors more than anything. Now, I mentioned coming back to Lunar New Year. So I've been here now, this is my 8th year, and it was Chinese New Year when we started, but we've changed that to Lunar New Year. Can you share why we changed that? Or
So my understanding is some of the school community groups had talked about how Chinese New Year is the celebration of the lunar calendar within the Chinese culture, but other countries and other cultures also celebrate the Lunar New Year. So, for example, Vietnamese people is actually called Tet, and it's celebration at the end of their lunar calendar.
Wow.
Same in Korea. Japan also celebrates, but they usually actually celebrate on January 1st, is my understanding. But it is part of the lunar calendar as well.
And I think, if I'm right in saying, it was some grade 11 students who spoke to Nick Olchin at the time when he was head of high school, and they asked, could we change it to that, because they felt that they wanted, their celebration and that important day recognised for them as well.
I've actually noticed within this community, within Tampanese community, wandering, they have the big signs up often, and it does say more now, Happy Lunar New Year.
Oh, wow.
So I do feel that there is a community expanding, looking to our neighbours on how they're celebrating Lunar New Year and sharing with that.
Oh, it's lovely. So there are now, and I think, are we in our second or third year of celebrating of those college days?
This is our second year. Okay. We're planning for our third year, and it's actually getting better and better. So last year was our first year, and with each of the days, UWC Day was separate because it was something that we'd already done. Yeah. But when we added our first day of celebration and we did Deepavali, and we recognized that, we could see, okay, this is how we could go forward. We learned from it. And with each of the days, we got stronger and stronger in our idea of how do we deepen the students' understanding of what's happening. How do we work with our parent community, because we're not experts. I'm not an expert in these in any way, to ensure that our students have that understanding of what is being celebrated and why. And so some of the work that's happened includes information being sent out to families ahead of time of what is the celebration and how they can participate or find out more within entire Singapore, as well as perhaps some links to other sites. And then inviting those parents to come into our classrooms. So that was something that we started with, but it's got, I'd say, improved because we've looked at sharing information with our community through assemblies. And so having our students initiate that and work with some adults to present what the celebration is about. I also think that there was initially, when we did it last year, some uncomfortableness of, wait a minute, is this actually appreciating, are we appreciating the celebrations, or are we maybe appropriating by wearing something I don't understand? And so this was a hurdle we had to get over last year. And what I would say is we got over it. We learned how to appreciate, how to find out more, how to learn from the people within the community who are the experts. And this year, that means that we can go even deeper with our understanding, because that uncomfortableness is starting to maybe ease as we learn more and as we share more.
And I think we see that in, I actually think the level of the celebration, or the level of the engagement in the celebration, people definitely feel more comfortable, therefore they throw themselves into it. They really are pleased for the people who that celebration is important to. They want to be a part of it, they want to learn more, and I think that's really shown more this year because of that level of comfortableness and deeper, like you say, deeper understanding. So actually, I am learning more, and other things happen on the campus on the day, don't they? Like on on a normal, like for Deepavali, we had several things happening. Could you tell us a little bit about those?
So because it's a whole campus-wide celebration, we have worked with our parent community to try and have different things happening across the day. So it may be, for example, Deepavali, we were lucky enough to have parents come in and do some work with our students. So they were doing the henna painting, and that was really lovely. So that could happen. But we also have some musical aspects. So for primary, we had a parent come in, but middle school also had a parent come in. So trying to work together on that. For Christmas, we had a stage set up, and we had a bunch of Christmas music, and in some ways
cake mixing.
The cake mixing ahead of time. So there are multiple things that happen, and we're trying to be more not consistent, but in collaboration across primary, middle, and high. So we're
definitely.
sharing the resources and saying this what's happening. And for this upcoming, for Lunar New Year, we have a special, it's not an assembly, I would call it a gathering. Where we're
gathering
all,
of the whole community.
exactly, in the main plaza with some different community members playing some music and primary, hopefully singing a song while we wait because they've been practicing. So uniting around the Chinese New Year celebration, Lunar New Year celebration through music.
And I mean, we've touched there on what it looks like for students and parents. And for students on these particular days, the canteen quite often takes on a new life.
So two important aspects of as we plan these. So after we made the document and that kind of happened, we then had to say, okay, now what?
Yeah.
That implementation. So we have a small group, a representative from each of the schools, primary, middle, and high, but also from facilities and from canteen, because it's important that they're a part of the planning piece, the dates, what's going to happen, what will happen before, what will happen after. For our canteen, there is this, I'd say, strong love of seeing our entire community engage with food in different ways.
Yeah.
And so each of these days are very special to Sodexo as they plan a special menu and ensure our students can partake in the special menu. And they usually have special decorations that go along with it. And the lines on those days, as people want to be partaking in the special menu, it's incredible. So,
and I mean that learning about the food, because quite often a child whose celebration it isn't will be sitting with someone who can explain why you're eating that type of food. So it's really, really good. And I think also there's quite often food. For Deepavali there was music, singing, dancing in there in the canteen.
So we try and make it a whole school event for the whole day and a very special day. And we're also aware of what we're learning from each one to help the next one be even better.
Go deeper and all of that. And parents, you've mentioned parents a few times. We do have parents coming in and sharing their culture, be it through stories, dance, food, decorations. The decorations for Deepavali, for example, are amazing. You've mentioned the upcoming Lunar New Year with an orchestra, with dancing from students, dancing from parents, all sorts of things happening as well. So we have Lunar New Year coming up. After that will be Hari Raya because of the movement.
Hari Raya Puasa is in March or April, I can't remember, but it's during actually our break.
Yeah, so we will still have a day.
Yes, we will. We'll do it after the April break, because part of our Hari Raya Puasa celebration has been working with Service, and Service works with some of our community groups to invite them in, and our students serve food to these groups, and we have entertainment. So that's been a traditional part of our recognition of that day. So we do want to do it after the day in order to ensure we can have that food as part of the celebration.
And just we're coming to the end now, but when any of the actual days fall in a holiday, we do still recognise them in school. That's the case. And we have a period of time where we decorate the school and get ready for that day of recognition.
And so one of the things for the decorating for primary school this year has been a commitment for each of the grades to have reusable decorations. Sustainability.
Good to hear that.
Kind of looking at fabric, things that will last over time, and then having those stored in a central place for each of the grade levels so that we can bring them out next year 2 weeks ahead of time in order to begin our recognition. We also share resources, so we have a number of different resources we try and gather through our community to share with teachers. And a step that we're looking at is looking beyond, maybe beyond just the classroom community, for people who could come in to share. So if I have if I want to talk about a certain celebration and I don't have somebody in my community, my classroom community, who can come in, is there somebody on campus who could come? So perhaps even someone from admissions or accounting who would know about that celebration, so that we're looking to those experts beyond the children in the classroom to the entire UWC SEA campus.
And I think I just want to end by saying it's always so heartwarming when you see the children get up either in the assembly, there's always an assembly on the day, or in their class when they're sharing with their class. They are so proud of sharing that part of their culture, and they're so proud of either bringing things in for their classmates to try, to craft, to do, a story to listen to or enact. And that sense of pride, that has grown, I think, massively as each of those celebrations has equal, recognition. Yes. Because it certainly didn't. Some got more than others. And now I think it's really important. And it's also helped open the door for children, as you said, in the class community, to say, here's a special day in my home country, can I share with the class? And then they will share that with their class community.
I think that's a good point. So these are the 4 that we recognize across the whole college, but we also, as I said earlier, we leave room and space for those individual class communities to look for other celebrations, to ensure that exactly that all of our students feel connected and they're learning from each other, that pride. I just had 2 students today who they were getting ready for Lunar New Year next week, and they were decorating the classroom and talking to me about different things that they were doing. So they felt that they were cultural ambassadors for that celebration in that classroom.
And they are cultural ambassadors for that. Jen, thank you so much. I even myself have learnt loads during that conversation. And I know we do send out slides to the primary school parents as well, so they know what's coming up. Yes. And please, if you have anything you would like to share with us or come in and share during one of those days of recognition and celebration, please reach out to us. We would be more than happy to have you.
We're always learning. And
always.
We would love to learn more.
Believe it or not, we're a place of learning. So please do share. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us. Thank you for tuning in to Patter with Pauline. Tune in next time.